All right, ladies and fellas, I am going to show you how to construct the straws and the yarn to start working on the straw weavings. So some things that you're going to need are some straws, and these were bendy straws, but I just cut the bend off because that will just be nothing but trouble later. And I've got 3 pieces of yarn because I've got 3 straws. And then I also have some masking tape, or if you have packaging tape, that would work too. And the pieces that I cut from here, you'll need 3 pieces. I actually cut with a pair of scissors. I didn't just tear it because that cut line makes it easier to put the tape on the straws later on. So cut those 3 pieces if you would. So there's a couple ways that you can thread the yarn through the straws. One way is to put the point right in there, and then you can just kind of push that along. It will go. It just takes a little bit of time, and I'm just kind of twisting mine as I thread it through there. Get some slack here. Or you can do it the way that I would normally teach you in class to do it, and that is I'm going to assume that most people have drank from a straw before, and sometimes when you're really thirsty you take like really big drinks, but if you just need a little drink of something, you take a little sip. Well, this is kind of the same philosophy, is that if you suck a lot of air through the end of the straw, you're going to get a lot of yarn in your throat. If you take a little sip off of your straw, then the yarn is just going to pull up enough so that you can kind of pull it out of the end, and you only need like about an inch or so. So I'm going to do that, not on camera, but I'm going to do that just so you can see that process. So I'm just going to do this, so you guys can do this at home too if you want to. So I just suck that through there. You always get a little bit of fuzz anyway, oh well. But so now you've got like this little end of a piece of yarn sticking out of the end of your straw. The next thing you need to do is have that cut tape ready, and you're going to take this little end and you're just going to fold it over a little bit, and I'm just going to hold it there with my thumb, kind of like that. Okay, you don't have to pull it all the way out, you know, just maybe, you know, half of a finger length or something like that. Then I'm just going to hold it there, okay, so my yarn doesn't try to fall off. I don't know if it'll let you see that or not. But then I'm going to take my cut piece of tape, and it's about the same length as that tail that's hanging out, and I'm just going to stick that tape so that my tape looks like a little flag, okay? And then I'm going to make sure this little tail is behind it, and then I'm just going to kind of roll the tape up around the straw, and I'm actually rolling the straw, and then I'm just kind of squeezing the tape, because it's really important to get this tape on here as smoothly as you possibly can, because you're going to be weaving over this section of tape, and if it's really lumpy and there's big sticky spots everywhere, it's going to be really difficult to weave across these across the tape if it's sticky. So if it's smooth, awesome. If it's not, you might want to just maybe pull that tape off, try again, or hopefully you'll get better on your next 2 here. So I'm going to proceed with these other 2, and you guys can do that as well, or you can turn this video off and join me for the next one when we start excuse me, when we start the weaving process. So there we go, got my second one. I'm going to get my tape, and I'm using that straight edge. I'm just going to stick that on there like a little flag. Make sure that that end is tucked in behind it. And then I'm just going to roll the straw and just kind of give the tape a little squeeze as I'm going until it sticks. Now, if you don't have masking tape, like packaging tape would work, Scotch tape will work, just make sure that you have enough tape on there to cover that yarn. If you have a little bit of a tail of yarn sticking out underneath the end of the tape, you can like snip that little tail off just so it doesn't stick out from underneath the tape. So there's the second one. And my last one. So I'm just going to start it out. I'm going to thread it through there just a little bit. Then I'm just going to take a little sip off my straw to get my yarn to come up through the tube. So there it is. So grab my last piece of tape, put it on there nice and straight. If your straws have lines on it, it'd be great to just try to line that up with the line on the straw, because that'll help you roll it around the tape. I'm going to make sure that sticks to the tape just a little bit there. And then I'm going to roll the straw, and I'm going to squeeze the tape just like that. So there you go. There you have it. You've got your 3 straws with 3 strings, and you are just about ready to straw weave. Now, after you learn how to do this, you know, obviously, well, no, not obviously, the amount of straws that you have will determine how wide the weaving is. So I happen to have a couple extras over here. You know, if you just wanted a really narrow weaving, you could weave on just 2 straws. Well, you know, 3 is kind of a good size. You know, 2 is good for a bracelet maybe, or 3 is good for a bracelet or a necklace. I thought about like a strap for, you know, whatever I needed a strap for. I've got 2 extras here. My straws are pretty small, and I'm using just regular, just average everyday yarn in these that you can get, you know, anywhere you can purchase yarn. It's what they usually have the most of. But this one is going to be, if I did five straws, it's going to be about 1.5 inches wide. So that kind of is closer to maybe like a belt or like a decorative scarf or something like that, or I don't know what else, but whatever you wanted to use it for. I did want you to see this other one that I started on, because the size of the straw will also kind of determine the size of the weaving. And these were some really like big fat straws that I found. And the straws inside, I mean, the diameter in this is about, gosh, it's at least 1/4 inch wide, probably. I wouldn't call it half. I don't know, it might be. But I had to double up some really thick yarn to go through there. And honestly, I probably could have put like 4 strands through there and had a really dense and thick weaving. But I'm just going to try the 2 on here and see what happens. So if you look at these 3 straws, and then let me separate those out, and then you compare it to these 3 straws, you know, you can see that this is obviously going to be much wider, the weaving will be, than this one. And I've even done a weaving before with like coffee stirrers, the straws that come with coffee, and I've used embroidery thread on that. So you could get really fine weaving, or kind of a standard size and texture weaving, or you can even step up into like milkshake sized straws and do really thick, dense, wider weaving. So those are kind of some options. So the size of the straw, you know, doesn't really matter as long as you have yarn that kind of matches in size, and you can always, you know, double that over if your yarn is too thin and your straw is really thick, or whatever. So just wanted you to see those options, and then next video we will talk about how to actually start weaving on these. So you guys have a good afternoon.